Aloha and welcome to Remote Promote. Thank you for joining us again. It is my delight and pleasure to introduce to you a friend of mine, Matt Saia. Welcome, Matt. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Maureen. I'm happy to be here.
So for those of you who haven't had the pleasure of meeting Matt, Matt is the owner of Saia Sales Leadership, which is a Sandler Training Center in the greater Sacramento area. As a Sandler trainer and coach, Matt works with sales professionals and managers who are frustrated with the challenge of maintaining a full pipeline of qualified prospects, the close rate of their current pipeline, and eroding margins in mature industries. Matt has spent his entire career in sales and worked 15 years in sales management, developing high performing sales teams before bringing his experience to Sandler to become a trainer. Wow, Matt, I know the information you have to share today will be invaluable. So
I
thank you.
hope so.
So, Matt, tell us in your own words, what is it that you do?
Well, Maureen, thanks for asking. And again, thanks for having me today. I appreciate it. Sandler Training, we focus on sales and sales management training. So we work with business owners, we work with sales professionals, sales managers who are doing well, but struggle in a couple of areas. Maybe they don't feel that they're bringing in enough new prospects, their pipelines aren't full enough, or some of my clients actually feel that they're getting enough new prospects, but they're having a hard time taking their prospects through the sales cycle and closing people, and actually settling for a lot of think it overs and chasing around prospects that never end up closing. So what we do at Sandler is we work with people to develop a sales system to help them take a prospect through the entire sales cycle.
That's awesome. And how would you say that this separates you in the industry of sales?
Well, sales training, and it's funny you asked me that because sales training is always kind of one of those nebulous things, in my opinion. I've been in sales my entire career, Maureen, and with some big companies, and really there's a lack of sales training by even the biggest of companies, I've noticed. I've been to a few boot camps, I've been to a few seminars, but nothing really that focuses on extended behavioral modification, training your reps to be different, to look different, to act different, so that they can present themselves in a way that is, like I said, different from every other salesperson that your prospects are going to see on a day-to-day basis. And that's always been a challenge out there, is how can I separate myself? How can I differentiate myself from the 10 other people that are trying to call on this prospect and get them to notice me and see what I have to do? And that's how I kind of got into Sandler, is looking for a way to be different that wasn't the same as everybody else.
And I've been on the peripheral of this whole cycle and your training, and I'm considering diving in. And one of the things that has me consider it is when you address what it looks like on the sales end as well as on the buyer end. And I could identify with both situations. And I was like, wow, like this, they really they have it dialed in. And so the solution that you have for people that are in sales, what sets it apart, would you say?
Well, Maureen, buyers are pretty savvy, as you're alluding to now. I mean, they know what to expect. And let's face it, most buyers, when a salesperson comes and introduces themselves to them, have a defensive stance. Fair?
Yes.
I think we all do when we're in a buying situation, right? Because we don't want to be sold to. And most buyers, when they feel they're being sold to, are going to put you at arm's length if you're a salesperson. So the challenge is how to make yourself look different than any other salesperson out there, to set yourself up to be that trusted advisor. How can we set the stage early on in the sales process to show our buyers that we don't just want to sell them something, we want to understand, even if they have any challenges that they're experiencing right now. And if they do, and if what I have to offer you matches up with that, then we can talk about where we might be able to be. But we want to find out even if we should be talking in the first place. And that should be step one, not features and benefits. So I really try to steer people away from, it's great to know your features and benefits and what your product will do for people, but you don't want to lead with that. And a lot of salespeople make that mistake of leading with that to try to get interest. But it's irrelevant until you find out from your prospect if that's even a challenge they're having. So we want to start the dialogue in a different place than we have been in the past. And that's what I try to focus on.
Oh, I love that. And my experience has been thus far is that I am an integral part of the process and that I feel heard and listened to. And what's important to me is important to you in terms of that it gets resolved inside of your training, or it's not a problem if it doesn't, it's just not a good fit. And having that freedom and that space to just really it allows clarity on my end, and it has me way more. So I've thus far are very much appreciated the process. So anyway, I just wanted to share that.
Well, great. Thank you.
Yeah. And what successful tips do you have to share with other business owners and entrepreneurs?
Oh, geez, there's so many ways I can go with that question, Maureen. I think right now, as it relates to the environment we're in right now, not sure when people might be watching this, but as we talk, we're in the middle of the COVID pandemic. And it's, as a business owner, we always need to look at how we're going to pivot what we do. Fair? Because the world around us is constantly changing. And I think, you need to look forward as to how I might be able to change to make sure that I'm offering the best possible solution to my customers, to my prospects. With COVID, for me, it's been, my pivot has been virtual. Training rooms are great. I'd love to get people together and have classes and teach classes that way. However, for the past year or so, that just hasn't been possible. So I've had to pivot my own business to try to figure out how I'm going to offer my solutions to people and still be able to do it during this COVID shutdown. And for the most part, what that's meant for me has been what it's meant for a lot of people, which is teaching virtually. Now, we'll eventually get back to classroom setting, but the point is, when things go in a certain direction, we need to be flexible as business owners to move our business in a different direction if we have to.
Yeah, no, that's really, really great. Awesome. And are you offering any special offerings at this time?
There's a couple ways to get to know what I do, just to kind of feel it out, because Sandler is a different concept, a different philosophy than what most people have experienced with sales training before. Like I mentioned earlier, I've been to a lot of boot camp seminars back when I was out in the corporate world, and they were all great, but they weren't reinforcement training. It was, you go to the boot camp and then you go out and you're on your own, you figure it out yourself. So what we do at Sandler is reinforcement training. It's ongoing. It's weekly courses that you take. We're going in and we're doing we're learning concepts, and yes, we're role playing them. I know a lot of salespeople shy away from the word role play. It's a scary word, but it's important in developing. So to answer your question, what I do to get people to see what we do, there's a couple of different ways to see what I do. Number one is we could have a conversation. I welcome people to call me. We can put 20 minutes on the schedule to see even if you're having any sales challenges. Number two is executive briefings. I hold approximately once a month, 90-minute sessions. You can come in, learn about what I do. They're typically complimentary, and kind of see how Sandler is different in how we approach the sales process than most other sales training organizations. And then finally, the third way is to do what I call crash a class. And that's simply, if you'd like to see training in action, a live training session, you're welcome to do that. Simple to do, my website, or talk to me directly. I can have you come in and actually participate in a 90-minute training session, an actual live one. People seem to like that. It's pretty fun to get guests on there.
Yeah. In fact, I participated in all three of your offerings, and that's what has me. On top of that, I've seen lots of testimonials from people that have been through the sales cycle and the phenomenal results that they're getting. So I feel like I've thoroughly researched what it is that you do, and I'm definitely looking forward to participating myself. So thank you for being here, and we'll include all your information and the best way to get a hold of you in the chat section on the post. And anything else that you'd like to say to wrap
up? Not that I can think of. I just, if you're out there, you're watching this, and you'd like to improve your sales skills, maybe sharpen up a little bit and learn about what I do. a simple 20-minute phone call is really all it takes. We can determine together whether or not it might be a good fit for you. And, it's not the right fit for everybody, just to be honest, because not everybody has that ability to make a time commitment of that reinforcement training, but it's worth a conversation. So I'm always happy to talk to you and reach out to me if you're interested.
Hey, thank you again, Matt, for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Maureen. I really enjoyed myself.
Oh, great. And Remote Promote was created with the intention of supporting business owners and entrepreneurs with the online communities, and that the online community be surprised and delighted with the talents and treasures that they find here on this platform. So it's just been my pleasure of having these interviews. And if you are interested in being interviewed, or if you know somebody that would be interested, we would love to hear from you. And until next time, aloha.
Aloha.